Welcome back to the Becoming podcast through Eurasia NYI. I'm Emily, and I'm here with Crystal Gibbons, who it's an honor to chat with. She is the Global Communications Director. And yeah, Crystal, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you do and your job and all of that?
Yeah, I get to work with people who love communications all around the world, which is really fun. I also get to work with Jim Ritchie, our Global Missions Director. I started to say coordinator. I'm a coordinator. He's a director. Anyway, but he's a lot of fun to work with. He's from Scotland, and he has a new, fresh vision for global missions. He's really excited about young people and the cause. And so I get to kind of work with him to develop those ideas, how we're going to roll it out. And then I have coordinators, communication coordinators in every region that I get to work with. They're amazing at what they do. They have a unique perspective on what their region is and what their region needs. And I just get to meet with them and help empower them and give them the tools that they need to tell the story, really, of what Jesus is doing all around the world. Yeah.
Love that. Well, so I have a few questions, and then we'll just keep chatting. But the first one is, can you share how you first got involved in ministry, and what has your faith and ministry journey looked like since?
Yeah. So I was really born into the Church of the Nazarene. I'm like a fourth generation Nazarene pastor's kid or something, which is a lot sometimes. But yeah, my dad is a pastor. My husband's a pastor. Both of my grandparents are pastors. My brother, it's just ridiculous. But so I grew up in the church. And I think like most young people, I kind of went through an up and down situation where I was really, really involved. And then I kind of fell away a little bit. And then really the thing that kind of pulled me back into the church was mission. Our church, my dad's church, was going on a missions trip. And I was invited to come along, actually to take video and blog at the time, to tell the story back home to our church of what we were doing in Africa, in Kenya at the time. And that's kind of how I got tied back into the church. And I went every 6 months for like 3 years in a row. And then I went on every trip possible that I could go on and really discovered what God was doing, not only in the churches in Africa and where we were visiting, but also in me and in my relationship as I met with people and got to experience what their faith looked like in their context and their culture. And then also just the power of sharing that story, going back home and telling people what happened and what God was doing there. And I think ultimately that brought me to what I'm doing today. I mean, it took me many years to get here.
Not that many.
But it's kind of cool to look back and see how God just, every step of the way, even little things that like you don't really think about, how God just uses everything, every experience, even every mistake that I've made, he kind of has shaped it and used it to develop who I am today and what I am doing and how I get to interact with other people, which is really cool. So,
I love that. A little patchwork.
Yeah.
You see the thread of the Lord the whole way, but during it, you had no idea.
No, I was a mess. But somehow God used it all to like make this beautiful thing that, I'm still a work in progress. I think everybody feels that way until they reach heaven. But yeah, it's really cool to look back and see that kind of red line or that through line of how God kind of shapes and forms us into who we are. So
yeah. God loves a mess.
Right?
He's really good with them.
Thank goodness.
They're great for him.
Yeah.
For us, not so much. Us living it, it's not great. Okay, so looking back, maybe what were some defining moments? Because I know you said you'd taken those trips to Kenya and you'd experienced the different cultures, but do you have like a defining moment or maybe a collection of moments that confirmed your calling, like into what you do now in leadership and missionary stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think there's many moments when you really look at it, but I think my very first trip to Kenya, there was a really defining event that happened, and it kind of led to what I would call my beginning of sanctification, entire sanctification, and really I felt calling to a ministry of some sort, and it kind of developed over time of what that would be. But we were in Africa, and we had been there for about a week, and we're just having a great time, and we were getting ready for church, and all of a sudden, armed men came into the camp and started robbing us. They kind of put us into this room and put us all on the floor face down and started taking everything. And I just remember being in that room and I felt like, man, God, I feel like you called me here. I'm doing what you asked me to do. And yet this could be it. Like, this is such a scary moment. I have no idea what comes next. I have all these big plans for my life, you know? And I remember like kind of face down, I can visualize the floor in this cafeteria where we all were at the moment. And I just remember like feeling like I was praying, and all of us were praying, but I mean, I was just really seeking God in that moment of what comes next. And I was holding tightly to my future and my plans. And God just said, you know, ultimately I make the decisions for your life. Like, you need to not surrender to these guys and these guns and what's happening here, but like, I need you to give yourself to me, let go of some of those things that you want for your life, and then I can make it so much better. Wow. So I did in those moments, like I really did surrender everything to God, and I gave up things that, you know, I felt like I was on mission. I'm doing all these things for God. I was serving my local church back home, and yet I was still holding on to a lot. And that was really the moment where I really surrendered everything to God. And from that moment on, I feel like God just kind of started to move me in this direction and push me towards ministry through music first. I was in a band, and we kind of did that thing, and I told my testimony over and over, and then kind of moved me into local church ministry and district ministry. And my husband became a pastor, and I served the local church there. And then ultimately, here we are, we became missionaries, and God kind of has moved us through many years of that journey, but that's the short version.
Yeah. No, that's such a wild story.
Yeah.
And also just, it goes to show that even those of us who are raised in the church and who, you know, were raised in the culture of like, we give it all up very young, at a very young age, I believe. So then you just kind of get into this complacency of, God has everything.
Yeah.
Whatever he wants, right? And then you like get to those moments where you're like face down on the ground. And you're like, actually, it wasn't everything. Like it sometimes takes those really wild, really intense moments where then you really do meet God in a different way. And he's like, no, like you've given me like the surface stuff, but I want it all. And so, wow.
Yeah. And even sometimes I think the things that we think we've given to God, and God's called us to ministry, but it's in our terms. It's what we want it to look like. It's how we want to shape it. And I think, you know, what's sad is for me, now that I've lived so many years to look back, is if I had been able to shape what I thought my life was going to be like, it would be so boring compared to what God has me doing now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, you know, really it's hard to see when you're in your 20s or, you know, even my 30s, honestly, to kind of see what my life could be. And I had this idea, and I was, you know, I'm a little bit of a control freak. Don't ask my husband, but that's just the truth. And so I think I have a plan, and I go, yeah, God, you and I, we're on track. Like I'm going to, you know, I'm following you. I'm doing exactly what you want me to do. But really what he wants me to do is let go and just really free fall in a way, you know, into his calling and his mission and his path. And it's so much more exciting. It's so fun to kind of be in that, you know, that place of just really, I have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring. I have no idea what country I'll be in next week or next year, but it's cool. And I know God has me where he wants me to be right in this moment. And I'm just going to serve him right wherever that is, wherever my feet land.
Yeah.
Which is really fun.
Yeah. No, I think too, there are some people, you know, out there who love to curate and create. And, you know, God is the ultimate creator, right? And so like we kind of partner along with him, and we're like, yeah, like you and me, God, you and me, we're going to create this story. And he's like, no, I'm the ultimate creator. Yeah. You just keep turning the page. Right. I just need you to turn the page. So I think that's really an important thing to remember. And honestly, it happens to a lot of us without realizing, right? Because our heart is in the right place of, we want what God has for us. Like we say these things like he has this like big plan and this big future. And we're like, yes, we want that. But like secretly we're kind of like writing the table of contents and be like, okay, but like this one's next, Lord. And he's like, no. We're going to flip the script. So
it can be hard to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's go with, so growing up in the church and you were part of a long lineage of pastors and people within the Church of the Nazarene, but do you have anyone or a group of people who discipled you or guided you maybe on your journey, or somebody who maybe had an impact in kind of your journey with the Lord and getting here today?
Yeah. I mean, I think lots and lots of people had an impact over the years. But some that I can think of specifically, there was a lady in my dad's church called Linda Caswell. And she wasn't actually our NYI leader, although I had many great youth leaders and they were also influential in my life. But Linda was somebody who really, she was kind of this cooler, she was in an age where, you know, in my older teens, she was just she was like 30 or something and just married and just super cool, you know? And I just remember kind of watching her just living life as a Christ follower and what that looks like. And how does that, how does that feel on somebody who I might want to be someday, you know? And she did a great job of like, she would take some of us girls out to like coffee or lunch dates and just chat with us, you know? And it wasn't intentionally, I don't know that, I mean, maybe she was intentionally discipling us, but it felt like she was just our friend and we could ask her anything, you know, and there was nothing off limits and there was nothing that we could say that would scare her or, you know, like make her judge us or anything. And so it was really a freeing relationship we asked her all kinds of questions about boys and about relationship and about just walking with the Lord and what that looks like. And it made a big impact in my life. I think about her a lot. So yeah, Linda was great. I think that was maybe the one that stands out the most to me.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It almost sounds like she took you guys in like as a big sister, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how I love to approach ministry. I think, you know, while as siblings, people with siblings, you know, you fight, you argue, stuff like that. But like truly you trust those people and they see you for who you are and not like a, say, somewhat older person who's kind of, you have that like, I guess, Sunday school teacher student relationship, whereas
which is different. Good, but different.
And so I think like young people too will respond nowadays, especially like better with somebody who feels like a friend or even just closer than a friend, right? Someone who asks you all the things and who you feel like you can trust because, you know, there's only so much they want to talk to their parents about or maybe their actual family. So to have somebody come alongside them that is being Jesus in the context that works for them, I think that's really impactful. And I mean, as you say now, all these years later, is like, that's still, you know, she may have just been a 30-year-old girl who was like, you know what, like I want to just do life with these young girls and I want to share my life history and stuff like that. And now you're grown and you're like, wait, I still remember you. I still remember those coffee dates. And so, you just don't know like how you come across and how you present community, how impactful it is to a young person until, you know, years down the line when they're like, no, I remember that. And that really resonated with me. Yeah.
And I think the importance of just being in a local church community, you know, and if I hadn't been, I wouldn't have known her because I was around just people my age, and the importance of having that kind of mentor relationship and finding someone that you, like you said, is outside of your family and that you can really share with. And it wasn't always positive. I mean, I remember I was dating a guy once and I got a handwritten letter from Linda of like why I needed to back away from this dude because he was bad news. And and at first I was mad, you know, because I was like, well, you don't know, you know, he's awesome. But then it was so smart of her actually to write a letter because instead of like a conversation, because I remember rereading it over and over.
You could always come back to it.
And over time I thought, oh, she might be right, you know, and she was totally right. She was totally right. But how important that, you know, you have someone in your life that can challenge you in those things too, not just agree with everything you say, but really challenge you and disciple you in that way. It was really good. Anyway. Honestly, good relationship.
I might have to put that in my little toolbox because I mean, a handwritten letter, like that's just also, it's so rare nowadays. So when you got it, right, you're like, I just got this handwritten letter from this like older girl and she's telling me to stay away from this boy. And then you're like, but like, wait. And then you like secretly pull it out and you're like, it's not something where you can, if it were a conversation, right, you'd have to replay it and you could potentially skew it in your mind where she's like, this is like from my heart and I'm putting it out here in physical form and you come back to it when you need to.
Yeah. And you can tell it was out of love, you know, a place of love. It wasn't, you know, I don't know, in anger or, you know, accusing me of something. It was very much in love of like, listen, you can do better.
It was like, she was right. Yeah, it was like a little love letter, right? Like, you know, that there's a reason why we put pen to paper for like something like big professions like that. And so she was like, okay, this is very important. So I want you in my handwriting to see like how I truly see the situation. So
Anyway,
love letters from Mandela.
Yeah. We should write more letters.
We should write more letters. Ditch the phones. Let's just write letters. Right. Okay, so as you've served with Global Missions, have you seen young people making a difference around the world?
Oh my word.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, I feel like I only see young people, you know? I mean, obviously there's a lot of great pastors and established older people, but really the movement that's coming in our church across the world is from the young people. Like it's young people catching on fire in excitement for what God's doing. It's excitement for how they are impacting their communities and their world. in communications in particular, it's a unique situation where young people know so much more than the rest of us. And so every time I'm thinking, how could I do this different? I'm asking someone who's younger than me because they know better. So, I think all those things, all of our future thoughts about how the church is going to move into new spaces, that all comes from young people, And if we get stuck in what we've always done or how we've done it, then we lose the momentum of being forward thinking and staying relevant and staying in a place where we can actually impact culture. And so I think if we're not paying attention to what our young people are doing and really asking them to be a part of what we're doing now, we're going to miss out on a whole generation of importance of what in the culture,
wisdom, insight.
Wisdom, insight, exactly.
They're on the ground. They know what's what.
So there's incredible things happening. There's a young guy in Eurasia. He is taking TikTok and he's doing live TikToks where he's just reading the Bible and answering people's questions. Wow. And it's amazing. Like I try and jump on there as many times as I can when I see him on there, just because I just love watching him. Because he's not doing it because somebody asked him to do it. He's not doing it because, some church thought, here's a new vision of how we can get young people. He's just doing it because he felt like, I know these people who have questions about the Bible and I want to give a space where they feel comfortable to ask whatever they want. Yeah. And he's just trying, and he doesn't always have the answers. And sometimes he says, I'm not sure, I'll try and find out and I'll come back. But I just love that. I just love these young people that are just reaching out in spaces. There's a guy in America that I know that during the pandemic I'm going to say the wrong thing. I'm going to say like PlayStation, but I think it was Xbox or something. I don't know. Wherever you play games. Yeah. And he had this community of guys who would play these games. And at some point he was like, hey, I'm going to stop and just read my Bible. And they stuck with it. And like he started a Bible study on Xbox or wherever.
Oh yeah. When they do those group games and they're chatting with their people. Yeah.
So I just think there's no way some adult is going to think of stuff like that. Yeah. And so we really need to just allow young people the space to be creative and to do what God is calling them to do in the space that they're given, in the spaces that they're allowed in, that we can't really enter. Like if I get on Xbox and try to, it's not going to work. Not gonna work. Yeah. So it's really important that we bring them to the table and that not only that we bring them to the table, we recognize that they should already have a space there, So anyway, young people are amazing. Yeah. I love it.
And on that vein, so how do you see the Church of the Nazarene really tapping into the young people and getting them involved with the church?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways that we're trying to do that. Obviously, the cause, you've heard that a lot probably, but more than that, I'm working with Global NMI right now, Nazarene Missions International, and they're trying to, we've reached out to all the regions. We've started to gather young writers to write the stories for NMI and for the Naz News and all these things because they have their own unique perspective, their own voice of where they're living, and they're talented and we want to give them experience. So I've seen some really incredible stories come out of that where they're writing from their heart and from their point of view. It's incredible. We're using young people to pray for other regions on social media, which is pretty cool. So I've just today actually, been editing some videos from around the world of young people that are just pouring out their heart for other regions, that they might not ever even make it to or ever know. So I think, there's lots of ways that young people are getting involved. And we're trying to find even new ways that we can invite them in. So internships through the cause and short-term opportunities for them to come and serve. And communications, as I've already said, is a great way to do that. Yeah. Because they already know what they're doing. So there's no let me train you in what you're doing. Come and teach me something.
Like, how did you do this? I'm just
exactly.
gonna walk.
Yeah. But even just to show young people, either through their writing or through their social media skills or their video editing or CapCut or whatever it is they're using, just to show them that God uses those things. You don't have to wait till you're an adult or you have some kind of education. God can use you right now on TikTok or Xbox or social media or whatever. However, whatever skills you have, you can bring to the church, and the church can use it in a powerful way. So, that's exciting for me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And something that you had said we're using, you don't have to wait to become an adult. Yeah. There's all this lingo of, it's the next generation, we're treating them, whatever. But I think our church is really good at being no, this is the generation. They're their own generation. They're ready. They're now. Yeah. We just have to give them an opportunity. And so, things with the cause or just internships and giving responsibility. I think it's one of those things where there is no set age when you are a proper adult. There are adults, there are people my age, your age, that are still thinking, when I grow up, I'm going to do this,
Yeah.
But I think just switching the mindset from the next generation or the generation coming up to the generation that is now, the generation of young people. I mean, they are young, but they are their own persons.
Yeah.
They have skills and talents and things that they've been learning their whole lives. They've become sponges and they've soaked these things up. And so I think, utilizing them wherever they are, as soon as they feel ready, as soon as they feel like, hey, I can contribute to this. I think it's great that the church gives them a space to do so.
For sure. Me too.
It's good. Let's see. So having a voice and being heard is really important to this young generation, and you work a lot with creative media and communications. So how do you see the youth voice coming through, or like what unique perspectives do you see young people bringing to these ministries? Like I know you had said like utilizing different forms of media, like that we would never thought before, but if there is anything else kind of in that same...
I think even just the freedom to ask questions. I mean, I think there's something that happens when we become adults that we feel like we can't ask questions anymore because we should know what we're talking about. We want to feel silly or stupid or something.
It's a little shame.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I love the freedom that I see in young people just to ask questions and feel bold about challenging things. Like, why do we do it this way? And you know, how can we do this differently? Or even about God, a lot about God, you know, of like, well, what does God say about this? Like, that's always really challenging to me. My husband, I know you know, Chad, and I,
Woo, Chad.
and you, we are in a young adults group together. We study the Bible, and you know, most people in that are in their 20s, you know, or something. And it's always, you know, we're reading the book of Acts, which I've read, I don't know how many times in my life, but it's shocking to me that still we can sit, you know, on a Wednesday or Thursday night and read a passage of scripture, and somebody, you know, who's maybe 25, 26 will come up with something I've never thought about before in that same passage. And I love that. It like brings it alive again to me of like, it challenges what I've always thought. It gets us out of this rut of, well, this is what the scripture means. Well, it's not what it means to him. Like, I want to know that. I want to hear that. And if I don't put myself in a space where I'm around other people of different generations, older and younger, like then, you know, we're not gonna hear anything but our own voice in a way. You know, it's just like an echo chamber of, you know, everybody agrees with me and it's the same. You know, I don't want that. I want to be in spaces with people who are more experienced than me and people who are less experienced but have new thoughts and ideas. So anyway, I think it's important to get that point of view.
Yeah, I totally agree. And even just hearing their perspective, and then you just have this open dialogue. I think we've said it a lot of times in this young adult study, is this word is a living word. Like, we're always constantly being like, okay, well, from like a theology background, this is like what it technically means, but like, how is the context to today? And like, how is it supposed to be interpreted? And I think it's just great because, again, we're all created uniquely and we think uniquely. And so we can read the Bible one way and God can speak to us, but then you know, there's only a certain way we can read it and understand it. And so to have people in your life, young people, older people, just a variety of ages, just coming together and being like, well, this is how I read it. And you're like, oh, I would have never thought about it if you hadn't brought that up. So I think that's really a beautiful way to keep the word living.
Yeah, and the uniqueness of the time that we're living in, where across many cultures, languages and countries, we can hear each other's perspective on all kinds of things. Like, what a cool thing. Like, it's not even just down to the people that you're in community with locally. Like, you can talk to someone, you know, on the other side of the world and hear their perspective on this scripture or on this thing. I mean, wow, that's amazing. Like, how cool that we get to be in this time.
We can utilize we're in such a connected era, right? And so while some people, or sometimes it's used to be divisive, like we can use it to be inclusive and connected, and use things like TikTok lives and, you know, streaming services and stuff like that. So I think that's a really neat tool that like can be utilized really well.
Yeah. And to be the light in some of these, you know, what can be really dark places of social media at times. Like, why would we just let them, like, you know, be like, well, that's too dark, I'm not going to get involved. I've heard that a lot, especially as I'm talking to people about why the church needs to be on TikTok or on, you know, these social medias. And they say, oh, it's so bad. Everybody's, you know, it's so ugly there. Why would we want to go there? And I'm like, Because that's what Jesus would do. That's exactly what Jesus did. He went to the darkest places and was the light to those. That's what we need to do is go. We don't need to just abandon those places. We need to go there and shine the light of Jesus, And so that's why it's exciting to me what, like Philip and some of these other people are doing is that's what they're doing. They're shining a light in a place that maybe that's the only light somebody's going to see, because they're flipping through TikTok and happen upon your
Oh yeah. It's kind of like you're walking through like a dark corridor and you see this dark room and you're like, I'm just going to shut this door. It's like, no, Lord's like, no, go in there and turn the light on.
Absolutely.
Find the lamp.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Final question is, so we created this Becoming podcast because we truly believe that God forms us through community. So as you see God's mission come alive in the global church, whether it's missions, NYI, communications, all of that, what has God been revealing to you as you connect to the kingdom?
Oh boy, that's a big question.
Yeah. We save the big ones for the end.
Who wrote this question? Oh boy. Hit me with the main point again. So you want to know.
Yeah. So we believe that God forms us through community.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about community in different ages or different cultures and stuff like that. And so what has God been revealing to you specifically? So I think you did touch on it when we were talking about like the difference in ages at like young adult Bible study and stuff, but maybe through communications as well, just incorporating young people, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, really what I want to answer is that God is showing me that I know nothing. You know what I mean?
Just a little humble.
But that's it's kind of a really neat place to be.
Yeah.
Because then it makes me really open to learning from everyone around me. Like I'm not, and I don't say that in any way to be humble, like what you're saying, but to really say like the older I get and the more that I walk with the Lord, the more I realize that the less I know, the better I am off, because then I'm in a place of learning and creativity and excitement, and I don't want to get stuck in, well, I know what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I love learning from all the people. Every place I get to go, I learn something new. And just today, I learned from this incredible young guy who was showing me about video and how to do something. But I'm so thankful that like that I'm open to that. And I'm like, oh, no, I know. Like, you don't need to show me, So more and more I'm just learning. I know nothing. Yeah. And I'm so thankful that God just slowly takes us. And, there's so many scriptures that say like, walk with me, like stay in step with me, don't run ahead. And I think a lot of my life I've like been like, okay, got the plan. And I like take off.
Yeah.
And I've missed the idea of just walking with God and like seeing each step and enjoying the process of getting to where I'm going. And the more and more, the older I get, I guess, I'm learning that that's really the beautiful part. It's not getting to where I'm going, but it's the process of getting there and meeting people along the way and experiencing the beauty of just really not knowing what I'm doing and just getting there, and becoming
what God wants me to become.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's a beautiful process, and it there's really easy times and there's really hard times, but that's the only way we're going to get there. And if you enjoy each step of the journey, then I mean, what a beautiful life then, rather than I just can't wait to get to the next thing. And then when I get that thing, I can't wait to get to the next thing, which I did a lot in my teens and 20s. But now I'm really just enjoying where I'm at.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And kind of full circle to this conversation, how we started out where you were like on the floor being like, I thought I thought I knew it. I thought I knew what I was doing. And then actually God was like, no. Like if you just let go, there's more. Just keep turning the page. Yeah. And so you are still holding on to that. And that has, followed you throughout this whole time to even now where when asked this question, you're like, no. Like I don't even pretend to know everything anymore. Like I am just here to listen and to soak it up and to learn, still making that a valid lesson in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good lesson. Hard lesson. Yeah. But it was good.
And just to close this out. Yeah. So I know that we mentioned some things, especially because you work in global communications, that young people like opportunities and stuff, but maybe if you just want to kind of go through just some ways that maybe some young people who are watching who are interested in communications, what are maybe some skill sets or some avenues that you are looking for or looking at, and then how they can get involved? Yeah, well, every country in the world, no matter where you live, there is a regional coordinator that can connect you to an opportunity of some kind. So
for sure check with your local church how you can serve them, and even if maybe they're not excited at first to like invite a young person to like do something new, maybe just see what you can do, show them what you can do, and then go find your district leader, your district NYI person, or your regional NYI person. They can connect you to the communications team and all the things that are available to you. There's lots of opportunities if you go to the website globalmissions.org. I don't know, /the cause. Then you can see all the short-term missions trips and opportunities. There's 2 weeks, there's 3 months, there's 1 year, 2 years. So lots of opportunities around the world, from anywhere to anywhere. Yeah. There's opportunities available. So
that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Like I've said, this is an honor getting to chat with you. You are my mentor.
Okay. Thanks.
I do expect a handwritten letter.
I promise.
When I make some bad decisions. But yeah, so it's just been really great getting to just hear from you and your life experience and how you have been becoming. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Emily.
Yeah.